Hey guys, welcome back. So today this is actually take 2 of me trying to record this video. This is another overcoming fears story, and unfortunately earlier when I tried to record this, I did it in my vehicle and it was just too loud. I just didn't want that kind of quality for you guys to listen to. So I'm going to just tell the story now versus actually being in the moment, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. So like I said, from the title, you obviously know that this is overcoming a fear of mine. This is something this year, well, when I turned 37, I really felt I've got to get over some of the things that have held me back since I got sick a couple of years ago. So not that long ago, I did my first Overcoming Fears video, and that was just going and getting my hair cut. I know that's gonna sound strange to some of you that may have no idea or just randomly stumbled upon this video, but I was diagnosed with triple PD, and so it makes it very difficult to do normal day-to-day tasks. So anyways, we're gonna go with the short version today. I'm gonna be kind of going back and forth a little bit. So this morning I had to go drive on a highway where it's a 70-mile-per-hour speed limit, and I had to go about 40 miles one way. I don't do a lot of driving on those kind of roads very often because I don't generally need to anymore, but in town I drive just fine. I've recovered pretty dang well where I don't have any sensory overloads while driving in town, but going at high speeds yet on the interstate and whatnot are a little bit more challenging. But being I haven't done it in a while, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I knew Ryder needed to get to this little town. It's named Washburn, and it's about 40 miles from my home. And so I wasn't super scared to drive because I know I've come a long ways, and I'm gonna give you the backstory on why this was a fear of mine. Maybe I'll just get into that right now. So some of you have heard this already, but June 5th, 2017 is the day I got sick, and for a whole year I was undiagnosed. But for the first, I would say about 4 months or so, I was in constant freak out mode. That was the worst of the worst. But at the time, doctors didn't know what was going on with me. A lot of them just thought it was panic, anxiety, all this kind of stuff. Because I tried to explain my sensory system, like stuff was off to them, and they were just like, oh, it's just anxiety, blah, 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 blah. So I was just kind of going with the flow and just like having to try to do daily tasks. Well, one of them, this week in particular, and keep in mind at this time, I actually couldn't even really drive in town, but yet I had to get my son 40 miles away to go to camp. And some of you may be saying, like, why didn't you ask for help? Why did your husband help you? For one, I'm assuming my husband must have been out of town because he definitely would have helped get my son to where he needed to go. Also, a couple of years ago, I have other kids that can drive now and help me, but back then I didn't. And so also, a lot of the reason why I didn't ask for help is I didn't know what was happening to me. At that point, I was about 6 weeks into being sick. This was when I was at my worst, and I'll never forget that day. I was terrified, to say the least, but I remember I tried to play it cool though and chill, and because I didn't want to scare my son either, you know. And so I just remember, I think he had his headphones on because we didn't chat a whole lot. I remember he was 11 at the time, and I remember like I literally was holding onto the steering wheel, like like death grip to the steering wheel, and I was like way up by the steering wheel, and I was like, had my eyes like open as far as they could go, because I had to work so extremely hard to focus on the lines on the road. I 110% was not okay to be driving. And that is partially why I'm also sharing this video, because if you have triple PD or sensory system issues where you are on overload and you know that visually your brain's perception of things are off and you can't drive, don't drive. Because I should not have. But back then, I don't know, honestly, I don't know why I didn't ask for help. I don't know. I wish, I can't really answer that, but I didn't. So I remember like it took everything in me to keep my cool, because I didn't want to freak out my son. I just wanted to concentrate on the road, get there as quickly as I could without speeding, you know, obviously, because those of you with triple PD, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about, like the visual issues, the perception issues. So I don't want to talk about all that in this video. If you have questions about that, feel free to comment down below or follow me on Instagram and message me there, because I'm more than happy to chat with you about it. But that was at its worst. That was before I had prisms put in my glasses, and my vision was just, it was dangerous, straight out dangerous. But I remember I got to Washburn, I dropped my son off, and I remember leaving there, and I'm like, oh my Lord, how am I gonna get back? Another 40 miles. It seemed like 5-6 hours of driving for me. Cause you're in a totally mental different state too, because when you're stuck in that fight or flight, time seems to drag on a little bit. And also I had a lot of, like, I felt out of body as well. And I broke down on the way home. And I remember, though, I kept telling myself, Monica, you can't be crying though, because that's going to affect your vision even worse. You're not going to be able to see it all. And I was just praying, and I called my husband, and I'm like, this is the worst moment of my life. Like I'm tearing up right now thinking about it, because most people, they would not have a problem driving from point A to point B. But when you are at that worst state, that really bad place, with this diagnosis, that is terrifying. I am happy to say I'm way better now. So today, because like I said, I don't want this video to be too long. Today, I knew I could do it. My vision is extremely better. Like, my prisms help tremendously. I don't have, it's so hard to explain. I've just come a long way thanks to therapy, prayer, and a bunch of different other things. Like, I've come so far. So I woke up this morning feeling decent. Symptoms were mild. I felt confident. We got my son all packed and ready. I knew he had everything he needed. So I felt good for him to be gone this week. And I just had a lot of peace about it. And so we left the house, and I was doing great. About 20-25 miles into the drive, I did notice I started feeling a little heightened. I just noticed my eyes, it actually was my brain, because it's not necessarily my eyes that have the problem, it's my brain. It's my brain's perceiving things differently. But I've dealt with this a lot. It wasn't that bad. I just tried to stay calm and just remember what it really is, and just know that I'm almost there. This isn't a big deal. And then when I get there, we were gonna run to the gas station, get him something to drink, and so that is what we did. We got there. I wasn't feeling that dizzy. I was feeling decent. So we went into the store, got him what he needed, came back out, dropped him off, and I left right away. Not even like being scared or nervous or anything like that, because I've dealt with the going up and down, the up and down, like all the time. Like, that's a pretty normal feeling to me now, and that was so mild. So anyways, as I was I said, another 40-minute drive back home, I I wasn't anxious or anything like that. And I actually tried recording this as I was heading home, but I had a lot of road noise. My Jeep is a diesel too, so that didn't help. So the audio wasn't that great. But I actually got, how do I say this? It was not the worst that I've been overstimmed before, or over heightened, but it definitely got worse than I anticipated. And it actually happened as I was trying to chat with you guys earlier. I was not a danger though, like, because at this point, I know the signs if things aren't so good. And plus that, how I was 2 years ago was a completely different story. My brain has healed a lot since then. And so, and I've learned a lot of techniques to help me. So anyways, but I recognized, I'm like, oh, this is ick. I'm starting to feel not good. And you know, because the thing is, once you start getting heightened or overstimmed, it's not that you just start having, like, I'm struggling with my vision, my perception of things is struggling, but I wasn't feeling dizzy, because when I'm driving, I don't notice it. But it's more than that. I start feeling sad and weepy. I just start feeling more sick feeling. It's kind of hard to explain how I feel sick, but I just felt sick. But I knew, I was like, okay, this is what it is. I did go for my oils. I always carry my oil around. Like I said, I use lavender oil, and I've now incorporated Peace and Calming oil. It's a blend from Young Living. So I use those ones, and that did help. And I called my husband, and I just wanted to talk, because that way you don't want to get stuck in your head. I wasn't crazy overstimmed, so I just want to clarify, I was not a danger. I was doing okay. I just was not feeling well, and it was kind of a struggle on my eyes, but I wasn't feeling like I was a danger on the road, like, at all. And so so I called my husband, and by then I was maybe 10 minutes out of town or so. So I was almost home, but it was tough. I did tell him, I said, I'm struggling a little bit here. And he's always like, Monica, you're okay. Monica, you're okay. Like, I can hear him in my head. He says that to me all the time, because it's true. I am okay. I'm gonna make it through this. Did it, how do I say this? I'll word it differently. I am not scared to get out on a highway again like that. I actually learned a lot from this. What I learned was that was a little bit too far for me. But it showed me, okay, this is an area where I actually need to practice more. So my brain can get used to that motion, to that sensation, to that, like, what it looks like when cars are coming by me, or just, you know, like, what most people don't notice these things, but when you're driving, you know, you got the fast motion, like the blurred effect that you kind of catch at the corner of your eye. With Triple PD, you really notice that, and it really affects you. But anyways, I was able to make it a long time though before all that stuff actually did start bothering me. So it actually is a win. And like I told my husband, I said, this is actually good, because I kind of know my limit now. And so I can do this with incremental training. So like, because I'm gonna have to pick him up on Friday. So I will probably maybe go out Wednesday, and I will go and not go quite as far, but I'll do a little bit longer of a drive. Just enough, because with incremental training, you want to push yourself so you're kind of feeling symptoms, but then you want to be able to come back down from it. And and today, unfortunately, I just lived in that place too long. Like, it was a little bit too far, but I had no choice. It was what it was. That's something you learn, how your body works and like how far is too far for you and what you can handle. I knew I was in a danger. I'm okay. I'm home. If I really felt like it was that bad, I would have pulled over and I would have taken a break and not left until I knew it was okay to go. But I know where I'm at right now and I was fine. It just is unfortunate, you know, it kind of bums me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, sorry if you hear a little jingling. The dogs are just getting up from their naps. But anyways, so I just wanted to share this with you. This was not a loss to me. This is still a win. I still feel I overcome because like I said, I've got to go Friday. I could probably have somebody else do it for me, but I'm not going to because I feel okay with doing it again. And honestly, for me to heal and for me to get better, I have to retrain my brain that this is normal and I can do it and get through this. So yeah, I feel like I have overcome fear number 2. And actually, there's gonna be an overcoming fear number 3 video. It's not filmed yet, but it's coming a lot sooner than I anticipated. And this one thing is actually my greatest fear currently while dealing with triple PD. I hope that makes sense. And so I'm sure you guys will be hearing from me shortly about that as well. But in the meantime, I'm happy. Like I said, I say this a lot, I've come a long ways. You gotta realize with triple PD, a lot of these things are actually huge milestones. So I actually couldn't do it before and actually was dangerous and not good. But now I can, and I know I can make it through it. I just gotta know my limits a little bit. But ultimately, my body is healing. So that is all. Hopefully I didn't ramble and hopefully this all made sense because like I said, I had to re-video this or re-record this. I mean, so I hope this encouraged you. As usual, please comment down below if you have any questions or if this was helpful. Like it. It's encouraging to me that I know that I'm helping somebody through this journey of mine. So, and as always, if you got questions or anything like that, hit me up on Instagram, NewLifeSparrow23. I would love to visit with you. So anyways, I'm gonna get going and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.